Hi everybody, welcome back to Julie in the Garden. It is mid-January here and I am starting some garden tasks, so I thought I'd bring you along with me. Today we are actually starting seeds, the first seeds of 2023. Yay! I am going to start some lisianthus and some verbena seeds. These are the first time I'm starting these seeds. It's also the first time I'm going to use a soil blocker, so this is going to be an adventure. And then in this video we may also get to some cold stratifying of some other seeds so that they're ready to plant in a couple weeks. I added a 1.5-year-old because he really wanted to touch the tripod and camera. So this is my setup here. I've already put some soil in this. This is Fort V from Vermont Compost Company. It's in this tub, which is new to me, from Johnny's. I'm really excited about this because I usually worked out of a garden trug, I guess, and I think this will be much easier for using the soil blocks. I did wet it down. I like to always use hot water to boil the soil before I do seed starting because that kills things like fungus gnats that could be in there. Then, if we keep moving this way a little bit, I do have some trays, some different size trays. We're gonna see what works. These are ones I had on hand actually from my Montessori stash. I use these as trays for the kids, the preschoolers' work, but I'm going to borrow them this spring for a bit. And then, of course, we have the seeds. I took out the mini soil blocker, that's what we're going to be using today. And we have some painter's tape and a Sharpie to label things. And I'm already all dirty. Let's jump in here. I'm going to make sure this is wet enough and we'll just see if we can do this. So I did wet this down earlier with boiling water and I have let it cool because I didn't think I wanted to put my plants in boiling water. That sounded unpleasant for them. I did try to make it wetter than I normally would, but I think I need it even wetter for soil blocking. So I'm gonna add a little bit more. Again, this is my first time soil blocking, so I do have a spoon here to mix it with, but I think we're just gonna forego that at this point and use the hands. I've watched a couple videos on it. I'm hoping I can figure it out. That's pretty good, right? I mean, I know I'm not supposed to handle them a ton, but yeah, that looks pretty good. I feel like I should stick it back. It was. All right, let's do it again. Before we get started. All right, so I'm going to start with the one that's not lisianthus. This is Verbena bonariensis. It is a beautiful purple, wild-looking flower, and I bought some last year from the nursery. I already started, and I love them so much, and I would love to have them grow from seeds so I can have more in the garden. So hopefully this works. Then these are all lisianthus, and it is my first time growing lisianthus, and we're just gonna try our best here. So this is a Dublini Blue. This is Voyage to Lavender. This is Voyage to Champagne. This is Arena 3 Gold. This is Roseanne Black Pearl. This is Voyage to First Love. And this one is Arena 3 Red. And again, you can see that these are all from Johnny's. And my understanding, again, this is my first time growing them, is that there's different groupings of lisianthus that bloom at different times. So I tried to do a variety, but I have a few 1, 2, and 3. So you can see they come in these little vials, which are kind of cool. And they're pelleted here. So I'm going to go ahead and start. seeds of the season are on my shelf with the grow lights on. It's very exciting. I did put some vermiculite on top, just a really light layer. I know the lisianthus needs light to germinate, and I think the verbena does better with light to germinate as well, though I'm not 100% sure. It's a lightly cover, so I did put a slightly thicker layer of vermiculite on that, but still not a lot, and the light should show through. I did sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on top too, because I've seen other people struggle with algae with the lisianthus, and I thought that might be more of a problem in the soil blocks because they might need to stay a little moister than when I have them in the plug trays. I'm not sure. So I know other people use cinnamon to prevent or address that, so I just decided to be preventative in that. And I will be keeping an eye on them. This is an experiment. We're gonna see how it goes, and I'll keep you updated. It's the next evening. I'm multitasking while I'm making dinner right now. Oh, baby on my back again. And I'm going to go ahead and start stratifying some seeds. Let me take a minute to explain what stratification is. So it's basically just giving seeds some time in moist, cool temperatures before you try to sow and germinate them. Let's think about the context of a plant that's, let's say, an annual that reseeds well in colder zones like I live in. So in their life cycle, they're gonna drop their seeds probably in the fall. And then those seeds are gonna stay on top of or in the soil for the course of the winter, and then they want to germinate in the spring. So for that winter, you don't want them germinating too early, right? They're gonna be killed off when cold weather comes back, because if you live here, you know there's usually at least one false spring in the winter before it gets really cold again. So they have usually harder or thicker seed coats. So a lot of people do different things. They soak these seeds. You can scarify them, which is like rubbing them. But really the best way to do it is with some form of cold stratification or winter sowing, so that they're getting that cold temperature, and even better if it's like fluctuates a bit for some of the seeds. But to simplify it, what I do is I just stick them in a wet paper towel. I use jars instead of plastic baggies, but you could easily use a plastic baggie, and then stick it in my fridge for a certain number of days, and then germinate them. There's different lengths of time for some seeds and such, but I just generally, 30 days is like a general guideline for a lot of seeds. I do this with a lot of especially medicinal herbs. So I'm going to start some of those, and also I'm going to try doing that with my rudbeckia this year. I have some annual rudbeckia seeds, and I tried to start them last year. I didn't get great germination. I didn't get great growth. So I'm going to try it with those. So yeah, I'm just going to get some of those in the fridge. I am starting with these rudbeckia. There's Cherry Brandy, Sahara, and Goldilocks. And this one is an annual. These two say they're perennials. We'll see. They may be tender perennials where I live. I've made labels, and I'm going to go ahead and stick them in this jar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the labels around the side of the jar and try to tuck them in on that side, because I don't want to use a separate jar for each, every single thing that I'm starting, because I will quickly run out of room. We're aiming for about 30 days cold stratification, but I may start a few sooner and some later. I'll just, as long as I have the date recorded that I did this and I can keep track of it, that might be a good experiment. Okay, here we go. This is the same Verbena bonariensis that I started last night in the soil blocks. I've had mixed, I found mixed information on whether it needs to be cold stratified or not. So I did go ahead and start it without cold stratifying it, and now I'm also going to cold stratify some. So if it doesn't come up well, I'll have some ready to go. I can also start some more, and I wouldn't be super mad about it. I also had some in the garden last year I think I had told you I'd planted some plants. I bought some plants at the nursery, and I loved them. And so I have left them. I'm gonna cut back the dead stems this spring, but I've heard they can reseed. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out to see if they also reseed in the spring, which would be really exciting. Okay, I just did a few there because, as we know, I just started some. Tucking this in with my marshmallow because, again, we don't want to waste space here. So that's how I do that. Okay, so I've got these jars ready to go. They're all labeled and closed up, and they're in this little container thingy, and I'm just gonna go ahead and stick it in my fridge. I will probably move it up and back. I've got to sort through the fridge a little bit later, but now we got it here, so. We are on day 3 of this vlog now, and I wanted to share one more project with you, and that is starting some paperwhites. Paperwhites are a type of narcissus, like a daffodil, and they can bloom inside. So I don't know if it's a variety that just doesn't need the cold, or if they have had cold treatment before we get them. I'm not 100% sure. This is my first year I've grown them, and I actually have some blooming right now that I'll show you. And they're really pretty. They do have a strong smell. I happen to love that smell, but some people don't, so be aware, I guess. So I have some blooming now. I've heard differing views on how long they take normally, and I think it's anywhere from like 4 weeks to 8 weeks to 10 weeks. And I think, I'm trying to remember when these ones, I think these ones were closer to the 4 or 5 weeks from when I planted them to when they bloomed. So I'm about, yeah, I think I'm about 4 weeks away from my birthday, 45 weeks from my birthday. So I'm kind of hoping if I plant some more now, they'll be blooming for my birthday. We'll see. So I have some potting soil in here that's pre-moistened. I just pre-moistened it. And I have a couple pots. Now, I got this really cute one at a nursery when I was there with my son. It's got the sun on it. But it doesn't have a drainage hole. So I did grab another pot that I can stick inside this one so that it has drainage. So this is just a pot that I got something in last year. I honestly don't think that these need a lot of nutrition in their soil, because I've seen people plant these in, I've seen people plant these like just in water and pebbles and such. So I just want to make sure they have a good base here. They do get really tall, as you could see when I showed you the other ones. And I have seen people using some sort of structure to help hold them in. Yeah. We're just gonna go with the moistened soil right now. I probably want to leave a little bit of a lip there. That's probably good. Just gonna put it in here. Again, I don't know how many I have. If I have more left over that I don't use, I can always save them and then pot some up again in a couple weeks. See if I can keep it going for a little longer while we wait out the winter weather here. Gotta get my flower fix, right? just need to water these in, and then I'm gonna stick them under my grow lights. I have plenty of room because we only started those few seeds so far. And then when they start to grow more, I will stick them in a different location. I'll rearrange some things around the house and find some nice spaces for them. It has been so nice to do these projects the last few days. It gets me really excited for spring and for seed starting. Just a couple weeks, we'll be starting a whole lot more seeds, so I'll definitely bring you along for that. And until then, I have a lot of planning to do for the garden year. Until next time though, friends, happy gardening.